I'm about to uncover another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of depth. A journey into the wondrous land of New York. The next stop, the detecting zone. Hey guys, how you doing? I wanted to go live today and talk about video gaming in 2021 and how that's changed, over the times, because I feel like video gaming now is really different than what it used to be. Before, if you wanted to play a game, you'd have to find the game, buy it, play it. And now things are very different. Like before you had to actually own the game, but now you don't. Yeah, I have a lot of games in my collection. I think the oldest games I have are the Nintendo and the Famicom games, all the way up to PS4. And before, the thing was, if you wanted to play a game, you'd have to have the physical copy, right? Like when you were when I was a little kid, like the games I got, Tetris, all the Sonic games, Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Outrun 2019. I used to love to play that as a kid. Even Maximum Carnage, Evander Holyfield Boxing, Ranger X, Zoop, the Streets of Rage games. You would have to own a copy, and now you don't, right? So now if you want to play a game, you just get an emulator and get the ROM. Now I do have, let me show you guys. This is the Retro Freak, right? And it basically plays Famicom, Super Famicom, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Mega Drive, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and the TurboGrafx 16, like the different versions, PC Engine, TurboGrafx 16. And what happens is when you put a cartridge in, it rips the ROM into an SD card. So I have an SD card over here. And basically this SD card holds all of my physical cartridge-based games. And literally, I could transfer all of the ROMs over to a computer and play them on RetroArch. So the question is, why do I still have my physical games? And I've been battling with this question. I've been wondering, like, what do I do with my physical games? Like, me, when I stream, I always try to stream a game that I own, right? Like right now I'm playing Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past. There you go. Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past. I haven't put the card in, and I've been playing through the game. I'm on I got the second crystal. I'm almost at the third crystal. Is that am I weird? I don't know. Is that how we play games now in 2021? And my thing is, I know that this game is worth a bit of money. I have a lot of games worth a lot of money. The other day I was pricing out my PS2 collection. It was over $3,000 worth of games in my PS2 collection. The question is, am I a gamer or am I a collector, right? Because a gamer cares about playing the games, and a collector cares about having like a copy, a physical copy. If I sold all of my Sega Genesis games right now, let's just say I sold them. Fuck it. Let's just say I just want to sell all my Sega Genesis. I have all this value in my physical game collection. I could sell this copy of Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, and I can still play Legend of Zelda Link to the Past. I have the copy digitally, right? I ripped the ROM, I have the copy. Like, so why do I still have this? Like, why can't I sell this and let's say all of my other Super Nintendo games and then get like EverDrive for the Super Nintendo with the SD card with every single Super Nintendo game, and that one cart can play every single Super Nintendo game? Like, am I really a gamer, or am I holding on to this to be a collector? You know what I mean? I don't think I could be both. I don't have the funds right now, the money to be collecting games. That's one big thing. Like, I have a lot of Sega Genesis games. I would like to play them, but there's also games I don't own that I would like to play. There's a game called The Punisher on the Sega Genesis. Punisher on the Sega Genesis, $164, $150, $199, $399. Like, this is a bit too much. But literally, I can get the ROM for free and play it right now if I wanted to. The physical copy is not stopping me from playing this game. I could download the ROM and just play it. So my question is, why do I own all these physical games? Like, is it nostalgia? Should I be selling these games to get a ROM cart maybe? Like, because I could get a Genesis EverDrive or the Mega SD, right? I could get a Mega SD. Like, I could buy it right here off of Stone Age Gamer. It's $270, yeah. But this will allow me on a real Sega Genesis to play every single Sega Genesis game and every single Sega CD game ever made. Why don't I do that? Why don't I just sell all of my Genesis games and then put that money towards this one cart, the entire library? Think about the amount of shelf space I would save. And this is only talking about like the cartridge games, right? Sega Genesis, the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo. I could get SD card EverDrives for all of them. I was raised in a way where, like, if you had something, you would save it. You don't really let shit go. It's weird, but it's kind of like a poor mentality. You have something and you save it. A lot of times, we never even use the shit we bought. We just put it away.
You buy shit and then you put it away and then you're like, yeah, I got that. You never use it. This was true growing up with appliances. My mom would buy a lot of appliances for the kitchen. Like, she hardly ever uses her blender. I don't even know when the last time she cleaned her blender was. You buy shit just to have it. We have a blender here too. We hardly use it. We used to use it to make soup. So over 1 year, I haven't made soup. You understand? You understand from your own experiences. You buy shit, you have it in your house. Maybe you put it on the shelf. It looks nice, but you don't use it, because I think rich people, they think, how much will I use this? Will I use this every day? Will it make my life better, right? Those are the most important things. It's not about being emotionally attached to something. And all these games, a lot of them I received when I was a little kid. And so I feel like I'm only holding on to it because I'm emotionally attached to having the physical fucking game. Her grandma would have money and then she put it somewhere safe, or she put it in a savings account and she just keep it there instead of investing, not let it grow. It's kind of like a poor mentality, a poor mindset. Because if I was a different type of person, if I owned something and it gained value, like a lot of my PS2 games are worth over $3,000, right? Why am I still holding on to those games? Like, I do want to play them. And then there's another question. What would happen if I did sell all of my Sega Genesis games, right? Let's say I did sell all of my Sega Genesis games. All of my Genesis games are gone. I got a Mega SD. It's right there. You see the Mega SD. Let's say I got one of those, and I had the entire collection of Sega Genesis games. What the fuck do I play? I would have the entire Genesis library in front of me, right? What would I play? Like, I would have way too many options. Do have too many options now just with the physical collection. I feel sometimes overwhelmed when I look at my games, like, oh my god, when in my life am I ever going to play all of these games? So I've been thinking about these things. GBA, Game Boy Advance. Look, they have the EverDrive. They're almost all out of stock, but look, this one's not out of stock. These aren't out of stock. And yes, they're expensive. But this is like an opportunity to play every single Game Boy Advance game ever made. You know what I mean? So it's weird. And I think these became really popular when the DS was out and they figured out how to hack it. And then they had the R4s. It's cool to have the collection. Look, I'm not saying it's not cool to have the collection. It is. Someone comes over. Oh, I played Final Fantasy 3 on the Super Nintendo as a kid. I'm like, oh, I have that game. Let me pull it out. We'll show you the game, and then we talk about it because, I have the game. It's fun. It's cool. We talk about it, I'm never going to open up a museum of video games. Like, why do I have this? Like, it's just for me here, the video games that I own. And so it's really strange when I think about, am I just holding on to this copy of Legend of Zelda? Or, like, all of my Sonic games? Or all of my shoot-em-ups, which I do enjoy playing? But again, I never put the cartridge in the system. So why am I holding on to the physical cartridge if I only play them off of ROM? And it's different when we talk about CD games. There's not a lot of the same options out there. Yes, you could emulate, the PS1 and the PS2 and the Sega Saturn now. But the libraries for those systems are so big. Like, the amount of hard drives you would need to hold the entire collection is very different than, say, getting an EverDrive and putting the entire Sega Genesis collection on there. It will be very difficult to do the same thing for a Sega Saturn with an ODE. Although I do want to get an optical drive emulator for my Sega Saturn. My big issue with the CDs that I see, and this is going to be an issue with everybody's physical CDs, whether you're, PS1, PS2, Sega Saturn, Sega Dreamcast, is disc rot. Disc rot is the tendency of a CD or DVD or other optical discs to become unreadable because of physical or chemical deterioration. Over time, they will deteriorate. Just because they're exposed to oxygen and, UV light, humidity, it causes the discs to rot. But eventually, all of those physical games, every single PS1 game is going to be unreadable. Eventually, every single Sega Saturn game is going to be unreadable. Well, here's another thing. For example, let's go to eBay. One of the games I've always wanted was Cotton Boomerang, right? It's a game, it's a shoot 'em up on the Sega Saturn, right? Cotton Boomerang for the Saturn. This is just an example. Look at the price of this game. $339, $347, $552. This game is expensive, right? And if you gave me $4,000, let's say 5 years ago when things were different, my situation was different. If you gave me $4,000 and said, buy whatever game you want, I said, well, I'm going to buy games that are high on my list and pretty expensive. I would have bought a copy of Cotton Boomerang. When it was, back then I think it was going for $200 or $250. And you know what the issue with that is? Here's the issue. Here's the big issue with that collecting mindset. And it's a game that I only buy games I would honestly want to play, right? I am a gamer. I don't consider myself a video game collector, even though I have over 500 games in my collection. I don't consider myself a collector. I'm a gamer. Almost every single game in my collection is a game I actually do want to play. But here's the big problem. Let's go to Play Asia, right? Cotton 2 and Cotton Boomerang and Guardian Force. These are Cotton Boomerang and Cotton 2 are like fucking expensive as shit. You just saw how much Cotton Boomerang went for. They're coming out with for the same games being re-released on the PS4. Look, the same game. Cotton Boom. Well, god damn it. I've already signed up. It's because I'm in the incognito mode. Look, it's the same game. Cotton, right? Cotton Boomerang for $45. Imagine I bought this game for $250. And now it's coming out on the PS4 for $45, and you get 2 other shoot 'em ups on the Sega Saturn shoot 'em ups, which they're not cheap. If you don't believe me, look up Radiant Silvergun. I would have felt so bad if I would have bought this game. There's a few games in my collection which I do feel bad having purchased at a higher price, and now it's not going for as much. Like, the collector mindset is very different. I just want to play the game. Like, I don't care if it's like on emulator. I don't care if it's a ROM and I'm putting it in an EverDrive and I'm playing it on the original system, or it's a digital. Now, like, I got the PC. Yeah, I think this changed when I got my PC. One of my friends, they gifted me a copy of the Legend of Mana remaster. I have the original Legend of Mana, but the remaster is the way to play. So what am I doing still holding on to my original disc for Legend of Mana? You understand what I'm saying? And like Sonic Mania, that game was for free a few weeks ago. And now I just have a digital copy of it. I don't know. I'm looking at my video game collection. I'm like, if I sell this collection, how much I could probably get a shit ton of money for it. And then what can that money be used for that would make my life better? That the video games are not, is that worth more than the money that I would get for it? That's a big question in my head. If I could sell a bunch of games and get like a 4 terabyte hard drive, and just, let's say I sell off my PSP collection and I'm able to obtain a 4 terabyte hard drive, right? And I could fill that terabyte hard drive with every single PSP game, let's just say, or every single PSP game I would want to play. Then why am I holding on to my PSP game? I could just play them on PPSSPP, the emulator, or I have a PlayStation Vita TV, right? Or with the digital copies, I could literally just load it up to a memory card and put it on any single one of my hacked PSPs, and I could play them. Hopefully I'm making sense what I'm saying. Digital copies are kind of 100% gamer, 0% collector mindset. My thing is, like, back in the day when I was growing up, I didn't really have a choice. If I wanted a game or not, it was completely up to my parents to buy, right? I had to wait till Christmas and open the gift up and like, oh, it's a Sega Genesis. Yes, I loved Sonic when I was growing up. If they're gonna re-release games for modern systems, right? Like, say the Cotton 2 Dilemma. They're re-releasing all these games. They're redoing like Legend of Mana, the Final Fantasy VII, the Saga Frontier games. Saga Frontier 1 and 2 were games that I always wanted. And now you can get them on PC officially. How do you know when you buy a retro game that you're not being duped? And then a year later, an updated version is gonna come out. Like, back in the day, you would have to have the physical copy. There's no question about it. You don't have to have it if you want to play it. I could literally load up any Sega Genesis ROM. Releasing remasters, I don't think it's that cheap. Let me show you. Let me show you what I mean. There's the Final Fantasy Pixel releases, right? I think they're calling them. Pixel Remasters comes out July 28. When's that? When the fuck is July 28? Oh shit, that's in 3 days. Look, all the original Final Fantasy games, I think it's 1 through 6, they're remastering them and it's coming out in 3 days. But they will never have the same feeling you got from playing. You see, that's the thing. That's what holds me back, Mecha. I think I spoke about this right before you came in. Nostalgia. That's all it is. That's the only thing holding me back. And I'm like, is nostalgia really going to get in the way of me possibly getting money out of this collection, or me possibly, updating to something like a Mega SD where all I need is 1 cart for every game? Is it really that important to me? Like, to have the original copy of, let's say, Ranger X or Altered Beast? You say no way, right? You say no way. And I understand if it's something you've had since you were a kid. Completely agree. I completely agree, right? No way I'd give up everything. What if there was something better? What if by selling them and getting something like this Mega SD, you unlock more potential to play different games? Let's say like The Punisher on the Sega Genesis. Getting a Mega SD will allow me to play this game on the Sega Genesis. I currently don't have money to buy games at all. No money to buy games, right? Think about it from that mindset. I don't have any money to buy games. So if I want a new game on the Sega Genesis, do I risk buying a copy like this? Do I risk spending $200 on a copy? And then 4 weeks later, or a month later, or a year later, it comes out on a Genesis collection for $20. The EverDrives open up more opportunities to play and experience games. So for the Sega Saturn and the Sega Dreamcast, they have this the Terra Onion mode. And what this does is you take out the CD drive of your Sega Saturn or Sega Dreamcast, you put in the mode, which looks like this, and then you could plug in a hard drive or a USB drive. I think it might have SD as well. And you can literally load up a hard drive with every single Sega Saturn game. I don't have to worry about disk rot. It's hedging against the destruction of my collection. Imagine one day there's a horrible flood in my building. All of my games are going to get destroyed. And in my head, I'm like, it's 2021. Why the hell do I have these discs which are going to get rotted or eventually not work, or maybe they'll get scratched up, or maybe there's going to be a disaster? Like, I should have copies inside my Sega Saturn, and then when I boot up my Sega Saturn, every game I want to play is right there. I don't even have to worry about it. It's just there. I don't have to worry about looking through my collection, and think about how much space it would free up on my shelves. Okay, these are books, but look, this is PS2 games. These are books over here. This is PS3 games over here. Rubik's Cubes 2. These are more games. These are more games. Imagine I could just empty out my shelves, but not lose the ability to play those games. What am I going to do with the space on my shelf? I'm going to buy books, buy things that I need for my home. I have metal detecting stuff that I find all the time. That might be cool to display. Let's say I didn't even want to buy old games. Let's say I'm done with buying old retro games. And I only focused on buying PS4 games or newer games or games on my PC, right? Digital games. I think I would be less inclined to sell everything. Like, for example, if my Twitch somehow magically became popular, and then I was getting like donations and subs and all types of stuff, and then I could use that money to buy games so that I could stream, and it'll be like feeding it, feeding the collector in me, sort of. I cannot even buy new games. These games, eventually, they're gonna go bad. But I could make money now off of them. And even if I make money now, I'll still be able to play them later with the EverDrive or through emulation or whatever the case may be, with the ODE. I don't know. It's just weird. Because there's a part of me that's like, oh, that's my childhood. I've had these games for a long time. So you get emotionally attached to having these things. If I sell off my PS2 collection, I'd have 2 months of rent. Or I could sell them off, and you know what I could do? I could get the EverDrive for the Sega Genesis and have the entire Sega Genesis collection on one cart. I could get the EverDrive for the Super Nintendo, have the entire Super Nintendo collection on one cart. I can get a big hard drive for my PS3 and have all of my PS3 games on there. There's things I can buy with the money that would allow me to play more games, and it could feed that way into my gaming collection. These are things I'm thinking about because it's 2021. Games are coming out mostly digital now. There's hardly no physical games coming out, and you know what? Gaming developers are so desperate to get their games, physical games, into people's hands that every single game that comes out, there's like a special edition or a pre-order edition, or you know what I mean. There's like all these gimmicks now. Before, like, there was no special edition Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and imagine a kid asking his mom, "Can I get Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but I want the special edition?" Yo, I grew up in a Hispanic poor house, so my mom would be like, "Yes, special edition, special edition. Eso no existe." I don't know. I think even if I did get a job, I probably wouldn't buy games. I've lost my taste a little bit. The older you get, the less you want to hold on to nostalgia, because things look better when there's less clutter. Sometimes, like, downsizing just gives you more peace of mind. These are opportunities to play and have fun, and a lot of these games, like, I do sink hours into. Realistically, how many of them am I gonna play again and again? Legend of Mana, I definitely 100% will play again. Oh my god, I go back to old games all the time. You know what's really funny? About a year ago, I was like, you know what I haven't played in a long time? I haven't played Miss Pac-Man. I tried to beat Maximum Carnage earlier this year. I couldn't do it. I tried to beat Outrun 2019 earlier this year. Couldn't do it. My physical games that are not RPGs, I do play them again. I buy games that I genuinely think I will enjoy and sink time into and rediscover and replay. As a matter of fact, I'm the same way with books. So when I find a game like this that I genuinely enjoy, I do go back to it. Especially games that are quick, the shoot 'em ups that I have, the fighting games that I have, the puzzle games that I have, the beat 'em ups. When it's a game like a Tales of game or a Final Fantasy game. But yeah, I do replay my games all the time. There's some games I have that I won't play. Let's say I wanted a game and it was in a bundle that came with like 3 other games, right? I'm probably never going to play, for example, some of the sports games that I have. But then other sports games I will play, like Bulls versus Blazers. I'll play that. I'll play NBA Jam Tournament Edition. I used to play a lot of Dance Dance Revolution when I was in college. We used to hijack empty classrooms. I had the metal pads. I still have the metal pads. How do I move away from all these physical games that I have and downsize the collection a little bit, but also not take away my ability to play the game. And I do have a lot of old games that I have a lot of nostalgia for, but if the only reason I'm holding on to some of these carts, some of these CDs is for nostalgia, I don't know, maybe it's time to sell them. So, like, I have 75 Sega Genesis games, right? And here's the thing. There's some Sega Genesis games I would love to play. Like, that's my big dilemma. Am I holding on to these individual carts due to nostalgia? Due to the fact that I like to have something from my childhood? Or is the value there and I'm not seeing it? Because if I had the money and I'm able to get something like this that would increase my potential to play games, right? Games I've never owned before. Then why don't I? Why don't I sell my cartridges for something like this? And they have the same thing for Super Nintendo. Right now, when I stream video games, I'm trying to get through the games that I own. The physical collection that I have, those are the games that I play, and I'm trying to get through them. So what does it mean when I have, let's say, the FX Pack Pro with every single Super Nintendo game? Oh no, we would still have to have all the consoles done. I'm not gonna get rid of my consoles. My Donna's looking at all my consoles. She's like, "We just get rid of everything." I'm like, "No!" Now that I have my computer, my PC, my friend gifted me a copy of Legend of Mana, a download copy. Sonic Mania came out for free. I downloaded that, and it's different because games are digital, and it's 2021. Because if it just represents my ability to play the game, I don't need the cartridge for that. I don't know. This is a weird battle, in my head.